Patrick. And thank you everyone again for coming. Many of you, some traveled 5 hours to get here. That's amazing. Really appreciate it. So, as was explained, this is the beginning of a process. And that process is possible because a lot of things have happened in the last few years. You all know. Climate change, drought, fire, COVID, all those things have changed the context and permitted things that were very, very difficult to do in the past. And so today, what we're really trying to do is get people to think about how we can creatively work together to do something that has actually already been started by people in the room. So all those people who are part of Beat Institution, please raise your hand. These folks have been piloting this process. They've been producing, processing, distributing, and buying at University of California campuses and med systems. And you're going to hear from Santana later tonight if you're there for the dinner or at the reception. So we're not doing anything that's not possible. The challenge is scale. And so these conversations, the next two conversations are about how do we think about scale and get to this place. And we have met, I think, almost everybody in this room since last September when we started traveling around the state and in Zoom calls. And we know that all of you are folks who want to help solve the problems that we're facing in our state, in your communities, in your businesses. So it's about just having a big heart, a big mind, and creativity, and just letting it flow because you're going to brainstorm. Doesn't mean it has to be perfect. Just means give us a ton of ideas because we're going to use that in the future in the next steps. So with that, we're going to start with the first panel. And the first panel are folks who represent our federal and state government who have been trying to put out policies or have been putting out policies that are making things possible that were not possible in the past. So that's really how we're going to start. So I'm going to begin with you, Jennifer Lester Moffitt, who is the Undersecretary of USDA and the Ag Marketing Service, which funded this project. We really appreciate that work that you're doing in many different ways. So why don't you just talk about what the USDA's view is and why they would be supportive of a program like this, trying to get the University of California supplied with all this regenerative meat.
Well, yeah, no easy task here. And I think, Michael, you started off with, there are people in this room, and probably all of you in this room, who've been doing and working at this for a very long time. And I will just start off by saying that USDA has been getting up to speed and getting on the boat and getting really building our capacity to support those like you all and so many other communities around the country in building out local and regional supply chains and building out supply chains where farmers can add value within their community and feed their own community and sell farm to institution, farm to hospital, farm to schools. And so we're really excited to be in a place, and thanks to some incredible funding that we received, this program was funded through the Farm Bill, and we're in a Farm Bill year, so I always got to acknowledge that. And this is an important part of the program that we do at USDA. We're leading at USDA in across the department in transforming our food system, building an economy from the bottom up and middle out, because we know that is really the strength in our economy across the country. And it starts with building the community capacity, having these conversations we're having today, but it needs also the funding for technical assistance for producers and processors to be able to access institutional markets. And so we've been able and really fortunate through the American Rescue Plan that was passed 2 years ago to have a substantial amount of money to really look at the food supply chain and invest in every critical component across the food supply chain. So there's many programs USDA already has, probably many that you're familiar with, like the Value Added Producer Grant and so many more, but there were other gaps. And so we looked at where the programs were that we needed to add more money because they're so popular and so in demand, and then where there are some gaps and how do we build those. And so one way in which we saw there are a lot of gaps is in the meat processing supply chain. That there is infrastructure need, there's distribution need, and then of course there's also the buying power need as well. And so we really funded through, and we have a program out right now called Local MCAP, Local Meat Capacity Processing Grant Program, $75 million. Applications are due next month. But also building the technical assistance. If there's one thing, or many things I learned when I was at the State Department of Food and Agriculture at CDFA, is that we can't just make money available. In order to make sure that we have an equitable food system, that everyone has access to funding, we have to provide technical assistance. And that technical assistance, we have $25 million for meat poultry technical assistance. And that is really just about making sure that producers can apply for grants, but then also that processors can do the food safety and all of the other things that are needed to access hospital supply chains.
Thank you. Thank you very much.